Hello, and welcome to Whatever's on the Mind.
where we tell you what's on ours. Welcome to episode 1.
Yeah, I'm super excited to be here
Yeah.
with my best buddy.
Yeah. My name's Jesse. I'm the co-host.
My name's Travis. I am also a co-host, because co-host and co-host equals one host.
Right. I don't own this, you know. So for today's topic, I think we're thinking of some aspirations and content creating and kind of what this channel's about.
Yeah, so we'll definitely start out. We kind of just, looking at what podcasts are out there and what podcasts we both kind of listen to on a daily basis. We kind of noticed there was a gap in the sense that not many podcasts are very loosely structured and talk about, multiple different subjects. A lot of them are very topicked and very, very structured in a certain way.
Right.
So we just kind of decided we wanted to do something that's very loosely structured and just kind of chat about whatever we felt like chatting.
For sure.
So this idea was born out of a car, and here we are in a basic
That's right.
bedroom.
It was born out of a car on our trip back from disc golf.
Oh
Right?
yeah.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, just a little background. We're both college students.
Yeah.
We attend different colleges, but
Right.
we graduated from the same area.
Yeah, same high school.
Yeah,
right.
exactly. We kind of reconnected over the years, and now we're here to just to chat with all y'all about a few things.
Are you senior now?
I am a
You're
senior.
Yeah, I'm a junior still.
Yeah.
I'm like one semester behind you.
One semester behind. I'm excited to get on my senior year, though. That's for damn
For
sure.
sure. So for our topic, what do you want to talk about first? We want to talk about passions. We want to talk about that content creating thing.
Yeah, so let's dive into kind of content creation and streaming and that kind of area. So I guess I'll start by saying I came up with this idea watching streamers and YouTubers, and just thinking about how difficult it is nowadays to jump onto any platform and just
Right.
take off.
Right. Get a kind of explosive growth or really any growth like Twitch and stuff.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
pretty hard.
Yeah, when I first started watching YouTube, that was back in the basic days when, they had the little TV emote on your
yeah.
phone and everything.
That's forever
But
ago.
content creators could release just about anything. And if you were one of the first in those areas to blow up,
Right.
you could really run off with it. I mean, look at, YouTubers like PewDiePie and Markiplier and, those things.
PewDiePie's been on there for a long
Oh, yeah,
long time.
they've been on creating content for years now.
Yeah.
I mean, you can probably find stuff 10, 12 years ago. And it's definitely very basic and very kind of messy.
Well, I mean, do you ever look at Markiplier's old videos, really the first stuff he made? Yeah, and he only had hundreds of views and super small community, and he just did that because he liked doing it. He didn't have money on the mind or anything.
Oh, and that's exactly what most YouTubers were looking at. They just wanted to do something kind of out of the ordinary and something on the side. Just, it really had no monetary meaning back in the day.
For sure.
You were lucky to make $20 off a video or something,
Some like gas money, literally. But yeah, when you look at Shroud on Twitch too, he didn't stream for a long time actually.
Oh yeah.
He was just a pro CS:GO player. And then he was like, I'm sick of this. This is not the life I want. And he just switched to streaming.
Right, yeah.
And, but I mean, starting out now, if we streamed on Twitch, right? I mean, we'd get maybe a viewer or two for
Oh, if that. I actually, I used to do it for my Xbox for fun while playing video games and stuff like that. And I was lucky to get 3 people tuning in.
Exactly.
I think my channel has 80 views altogether or something like that. And when you think about people like Shroud and stuff like that, they get that in a minute.
Right.
if that, as soon as they go online.
Millions of followers and stuff.
Oh, it's crazy. But yeah, I feel like those people, when you talk about PewDiePie and Markiplier and Shroud and, even Ninja and stuff like that, they were kind of there when everything started. If that makes sense, especially when you're looking at YouTube. So they had an early footing in the door. They had a lot of content out, and they didn't make a lot out of it. But eventually, those platforms, YouTube, Twitch, they really started Mixer too. Yeah. They started blowing up, and with that, people started to become popularized, and because of that, they were able to make money off of that. even like Facebook.
Right.
You have people streaming on Facebook now and stuff.
Yeah, Facebook, YouTube streams too.
Yeah, but those who took advantage of it early on.
Early on, because Twitch came out as a public beta in 2011, which I just looked that up.
But, knew that.
But I mean, like 2011, it's been 9 years.
9 years now. Yeah,
barely. And yeah.
Yeah, you just think 9 years ago, what was going on Twitch? I mean, no one even knew about Twitch. And same thing...
Twitch was, like, just starting. That's, like, when they released,
Same thing about YouTube, though.
YouTube was YouTube wasn't very old by then either. So if you started on YouTube, like, during that era, and then you switched to Twitch, you kind of got a head start, kind of, because you were, like, the content creator.
Exactly. So wasn't the first YouTube video, like, me at the zoo or something like
that?
It was just like a 10-second clip.
Yeah.
But yeah, I digress. So those content creators, I feel like, really put their foot in the door.
Yeah.
And they were able to take advantage of a market that was untapped. No one expected YouTube and Twitch to blow up as much as it did.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because, I mean, I think 10 years ago, back to when I was, I think I would have been right in high school. Well, no, middle school at that point.
Yeah.
But I think when I was in middle school and just content creation wasn't an idea. It wasn't a topic on the mind. It wasn't taught in schools. It was,
it definitely wasn't.
It's crazy nowadays. You have like esports programming.
Yeah.
You have like classes around content creation and cinema. That word.
Yeah.
Cinema.
Cinematography.
Thank you.
I know. I'm the media studies student. I know. I mean, my school has. I think my school does have an esports management major now. It's like the business side of it, but still, I mean, it's like managing a sports team.
But yeah, exactly.
That's like almost completely new for them,
Those topics were not topics anyone would have thought about. No one would go to study esports management.
Right.
And if you did, your mother would probably think you're a failure because,
if anything, you probably would have gone to like just regular sports management.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
NFL, NHL,
exactly.
NBA.
So it's crazy to see how much. This content creation and streaming and this platform of connecting through online means has blown up in such a short period, and just looking at it now and thinking 10 years ago where it was, I never would have expected it.
Didn't exist back then, pretty much.
But that leads into kind of what I'm talking about in the sense that, because those markets are tapped now, because you have your PewDiePies and your Markipliers and your Ninjas and Shrouds, it's very, very difficult for anyone to stand out.
Yeah.
I mean, people have different personalities that others enjoy.
You can just be entertaining, and that's totally you.
But I mean, back in the day, when Markiplier and PewDiePie were starting out, that was the only personality that was out there.
Right.
They didn't have to... It
was a pretty small base.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, and people like them because they're entertaining and because of their personalities and their content creation, but you didn't have to think about that, I guess, back
Not as much, no.
No,
it was just kind of like, if you liked them, you watched them.
And now you have streamers who are, like, going to some really weird lengths and stuff. Like, people dress up in costumes, and people use weird voices and all the effects and everything. And that just, when it was starting out, you didn't have to distinguish yourself in that way.
No.
But now that those content creators are out there and doing that, dressing up and using weird voices and these effects and all these crazy things, they're standing out in a way that makes it harder for anyone else trying to stand out in that way.
Yeah,
can come in and do that because they're just going to be perceived and seen as like copycats. You know?
Yeah, like not original.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just weird to look at it now and think of what kind of potential there was. It's almost like Bitcoin.
Bitcoin. Or you turn into the Stonks podcast now.
No, but seriously, you look at Bitcoin and everyone thought it was this weird abstract joke. The fact that there was virtual currency and you could mine and like do all this crap. I don't know about Bitcoin. I'm not a Bitcoin expert. I never will be. But people saw that and thought it was ridiculous and unrealistic. And just like I did when I was when I was younger and looking at that and thinking, how could anyone make a living videotaping themselves and posting it online? Just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Especially back then when it was like super super raggy.
And not to mention, like, you had almost like no resources back then in terms of like software. Like, I mean, look at what we're doing now. I got OBS open, which is free. I got DaVinci Resolve, which is fantastic, also free. Yeah. And I can do a ton of editing on there. And
and those resources weren't out there. It was very bare bones minimum.
And you probably had to pay for a lot of the software you were using too.
Exactly, but yeah, my point being, very basic, very abstract, very revolutionary, I guess. But no one expected it to turn off in my eyes. I mean, people who invested in YouTube are probably like astounded right now in Twitch and stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
I wish little middle school me would have bought a couple stocks in that.
Start buying stocks in middle school. I made a couple videos in middle school with you saw the tripod.
Oh
tripod video. Oh my god, it was so bad. But I mean, also just recording on like the Xbox, and you record for 5 minutes, and it's just like you just make a little highlight montage, and it has like the intro outro. And I always thought that was really fun, but I didn't look at it as something serious,
Right, and but even
now
then,
I'm kind of looking at it as something more serious.
I don't know if you felt the same way I do, but like when I was doing that in middle school, I mostly, I wanted to kind of mimic what other people were doing online once it grew to the size it did. Yeah. And I mean, I'm talking, it was pretty big back then when I was in middle school, but nowhere where it is today. But back in middle school when it started kind of blowing up and I started watching it like on a consistent basis and thinking, wow, this is pretty cool. I remember myself, I'd get like a cheap little webcam that would connect to a laptop, and me and my friend would videotape ourselves playing Gears of War 2 Horde for hours, and it was just like the worst quality video,
probably shaking and stuff.
Oh my gosh, it was terrible. But I wanted to mimic that, but like like Jesse's saying here, it wasn't for monetary reasons. I didn't see it as a business or industry. I saw it as something that's really interesting to do and something that would be kind of fun to do with my friend.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, especially with how lucrative like those big streaming platforms are and those big names are, people view it as a financial means of sustaining themselves.
It's a source of income. It's like I forgot what I was gonna say already.
But you see, like, I see it too. I do a lot of work in schools and stuff, and I see some middle schoolers and some, even elementary
making
kids.
Content and stuff.
They say they are, and they want to be that when they get older. And I just, I think to myself, how realistic is it that this person will be able to support themselves? I mean, you think about someone like Markiplier, okay? Yeah. Think about how many subscriptions he has. Think about how many views he gets on his videos. Think about the ad revenue and the sponsorship and everything.
Sponsorship, merchandise. He has to pay for his team and stuff. Right. He has to pay wages because he can now. Yeah. And he has an editing team and stuff. So yeah, it's not easy, man. And not to mention, you can, but it's not just talking into a microphone and playing a game or whatever. Like, you have to have some kind of skill, whether it's like public speaking skill or like video editing skills, Yeah,
the thing I'm seeing,
it's not just hit record and you're set.
Right, exactly. The thing I'm seeing a lot more today with those Twitch streamers and YouTubers and stuff that I didn't see back then is a lot of it has to do with skill, but in the regards of like video game skill, I guess, if that makes sense. Yeah. So
because if you're saying like from like a pro perspective, if you're really really good at game, people don't care too much about the commentary.
Right.
Yeah. I feel like to an extent that's like Shroud. He's like the god FPS gamer, and so people are like, oh, it's cool that he's talking about whatever topic, but I want to see the gameplay of this guy.
Right. And that's really how people make a name for themselves now, is distinguishing themselves not through commentary or not through just this personality, because we have commentary and personality already. Right. You look at Markiplier and he is crap at video games. Let's be real. No offense, Markiplier. Not
good, man.
But he
it's hard to play when you're recording.
Exactly. And his gamer knowledge isn't that great, and his I don't know, just in general, he's not that great of a gamer, but his commentary is what distinguishes him.
Commentary, personality too.
Personality, and that's because he had those established at the beginning of YouTube.
Right.
Whereas nowadays, we already have that, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
We already have commentators and personality. We have those aspects in streaming platforms and in YouTube and stuff like that. And now people want to see the more competitive side.
Right.
People want to see skill.
The pro gaming and how high can the skill cap be for these guys. You're right. Yeah.
And it's crazy how much impact that has. Like I say, I work with kids, and a lot of them probably play video games way more than I have in my entire life.
Yeah. Man, I remember, sorry to cut you off, but I remember playing, coming home from middle school, high school, even high school for me, because I didn't do anything after school most of the time. So I would just come home, eat, just play for 8 hours, straight, man, just unhealthy. And yeah.
No, I was a nerd in high school. I probably got in 2 hours of gaming after school or something, especially later on in high school. I feel
that now with work and stuff, and yeah, you don't have as much time, but you still enjoy it.
Yeah, but I mean, you have kids who just go home and play,
Yeah.
And it's not like it's anything new. That's something else.
Kids have been doing that for a while. I mean, I did that as a kid at least.
Oh yeah, when I was in middle school and I had no responsibilities or homework or anything,
just play games.
Played Xbox 360 with my friend for 7 hours.
Play that Gears 4, man.
Oh, exactly, man. And you didn't have to really worry.
No, not at all.
But today, I don't know how you feel, Jesse. I don't know how much work you do with kids or anything, but kids...
I don't talk to kids, man.
But in my experience, kids kind of view homework and school and those responsibilities as secondary to gaming. And there's nothing...
I did too when I was a kid. I was the gaming's more important. I want to talk to my friends and be social. And
there's nothing wrong with that if you're really, really, really good at gaming, okay?
Yeah.
Because if you are an extremely good gamer and you're playing Call of Duty with a 4.0 kill to death ratio or something
Apex or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you're good enough that you're entertaining to watch, then go for it. And I think those kids will be
in terms of content creation.
Content creation.
Just want to reel that back into the topic. Yeah.
I say go for it, but the problem is there's so many skilled players out there that it's difficult to do that now. It's difficult to be a kid and practice 8 hours a day and be as good as anyone who's already doing it. Because if you're not, if you're not putting in 12 hours a day and you're not, sitting at a computer all the time or your Xbox or whatever, you're not going to be as good as Shroud or Ninja or Choco Taco is another one.
Choco Taco, man. It's a good ice cream.
But yeah, it's just it's hard because the realistic side of you is thinking, kid, I hate to break it to you, but you're not gonna be a pro gamer.
It's not realistic, right?
I mean, think about I don't know the ratios, and I'm not gonna claim to know the ratios, but think about how many successful content creators there are out there as far as YouTube, Twitch, Mixer, all of those platforms. And think about how many people are not successful on those platforms.
Right.
You just look at someone like me who tried streaming for just a little while, and like I said, I had 80 views at the end of it.
Yeah.
Granted,
so how long was that for? A couple months?
Yeah, I streamed for maybe a month or two.
Yeah.
Granted, I didn't do a lot of social media outreach, and and that helps people today.
Yeah. Because you wanna build up your brand, I took a class on that.
Yeah, but the other thing too is I should have mentioned the kids I work with in schools are the school districts I work in are relatively poor. They're low socioeconomic status.
Yeah, they're not private schools.
Exactly,
or anything.
exactly.
Right. The kids have these $10,000 PC setups.
Well, exactly, and that's the thing. Those people who are going to be more successful in the end, in my personal opinion, or at least who are going to have an easier job getting to that point, are people that have money.
Right, because it's the resources. It's half the battle sometimes.
Oh, exactly. I mean, if you're trying to record and Twitch stream from your Xbox, you're not going to make it. No, exactly. You're not going to make it because you can't do enough on it. You know, you can't add Streamlabs on there. You can't. Right. Maybe with a new Xbox coming out, maybe that would be cool.
X series.
Yeah, exactly.
Series X, yeah.
But as it stands right now, if you don't have money and you don't have a professional setup and you don't buy a $1,500 desktop, you're not gonna make
Dual monitor, like
exactly.
Professional mic, or at least a mic that's like good quality.
Exactly, and you're just not gonna make it if you don't have that setup. Because the field is so competitive nowadays. There's so many people who are doing this content creation and this streaming for money, and since they already tapped that market, it's very hard to get an upper edge when you don't have the resources to do so.
Right, it's hard to kind of like go against the grain and kind of create your own following from that.
Right.
Yeah, because if you have the resources, like the money and stuff from your parents, or if we're still talking about like kids, like an up and coming streamers, content creators, then I mean it's a lot easier to just kind of get a foothold and actually have something that is like enjoyable to watch, because if you're dropping frames, or if your internet's not good, or if your mic's like echoing a ton, then like no one's gonna really want to watch that. And we've had like that $5,000 setup, and it's like it's easier.
And
it's just easier.
That's another really important thing to note is like the whole echoing and the crappy quality and all that stuff. Back when YouTube just started, that was YouTube.
Yeah, that was. I mean, everybody had like potato computers and stuff.
Oh, it's crazy.
And mics.
You look at the quality of Markiplier's videos 10 years ago.
Not good?
No, horrible.
Most YouTubers, especially like older YouTubers, have been on there for like a decade, really. Just, you look at their old stuff, I mean, and it's just not good quality.
No, and now technology has progressed so much that you can record in 1080 not FPS, you know what I mean.
1080p, 60 FPS,
you can record at such high quality, and that's what people are accustomed to now too. That's the other problem.
Because it's the industry like standard. Like, if I can't watch something that's like 1080p, and it's like kind of puts me off. It's like
exactly
720 is not even considered HD anymore.
Yeah, I mean I can deal with 720.
Right.
But
you know what I'm saying? Like most people, they expect like 1080p, even like going up to 4K for like streams and sometimes YouTube videos. And that's just the norm now.
And you need that quality now. If you're doing any of that content creation, streaming, if it's not like super good quality, if it's like even like 480, I mean I can't even imagine.
I don't think anyone watches 480.
And 480 was like the standard when you were first watching YouTube.
Right,
I remember
was there a 1080?
No.
Because 440 was the standard. I remember 480 was the standard.
And 720.
And then if you had like good internet, you could watch it at 720.
You needed like the best like internet package you could get. Like that's like $120 a month.
I remember at home I pretty much had to watch in 480, and at school was like 720.
Needed fiber just to watch 720.
I don't know if Google Fiber was even a thing back then.
No, probably not. But it's just the industry itself is so competitive, and there's so many areas that are already filled nowadays.
And so many like standards set already before you even enter the field.
Right. And the important thing to note about this entire conversation is what we're discussing isn't content creation just for the sake of content creation. I've always been a proponent of, if you want to create something, put it out there just for fun. Do it.
Absolutely.
That's exactly what we're doing right now.
Do it because you like it. I love the term, and I thought of it like a week ago, but passion projects. If you like doing it, it kind of goes against what we just said, but like who cares about the quality, or at least for you, it doesn't matter if it's good quality. You want to put it out there, and it's a good setup for what you want to do after that.
Right.
For the next project, you're like, oh, okay. Like, I made like a really simple, not good AMV, right, of like Avatar: Last Airbender, and it's not good. It's got no transitions in it.
Yeah.
It's got like one filter on it. It's got like a minute-long song. It's not good. But now I know what to do for my next one. I want to put more transitions on it. Right. I want to sync the audio. I want to sync the video up to the beats of the songs. You know, so.
Yeah, and content creation can be a good step into a more professional area.
Yeah,
not that YouTube and Twitch and Mixer aren't professional, just in terms of making money, the ability to do that.
Kind of more of like a more streamlined career.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, kind of like a go into like video producing, like BuzzFeed. You look at Brian David Gilbert, he uses his full name all the time, BDG. He's a video producer. He literally got his job making videos on YouTube. Travis just spilled water on himself while I was talking. It's all good. But yeah, I mean, he's a video producer now for BuzzFeed. Yeah, and he makes good money. He put it on his Twitter. He makes fat stats.
But that's the important thing to note is I'm sure when Brian started out, I'm very personal with Brian, obviously. I'm sure when he started out though, he didn't anticipate to make a bunch of money off his first project.
He was just making videos because they were fun and he liked doing it.
And I'm sure he didn't expect to become a YouTuber or, you know what I mean, someone famous.
Because he is on Polygon. He does like some Polygon videos for them and stuff. But I think it's Polygon. It might, yeah.
I'm not familiar.
It could be BuzzFeed, but I'm pretty sure it's No, BuzzFeed is I'm thinking of Ryan Bugara and Shane. BDG is Polygon, for sure.
But those people probably didn't anticipate I'm gonna upload a bunch of YouTube videos and these first projects are gonna make a bunch of money.
Right.
And they probably weren't
that, like I'm gonna get a job because I'm putting these videos
out there.
Right. No, they're just doing it because they like doing it. You know.
So yeah, I think as long as you're creating content for the sake of creating content and not for the sake of earning money.
Or like even a following. Like you know, it's good to have like goals and stuff. But if you're like, I want like 1,000 subscribers by the end of the month,
you're not gonna get there.
Like that's not what you should be putting like your resources into or like maybe your ambition into.
Yeah, you shouldn't be focused on that.
Right.
You should be focused.
That's like a side goal. It's like a nice milestone.
Right, and that's exactly what Jesse's talking about. Do it for the passion of doing it, because you're not going to become a famous streamer. You're not going to become a famous YouTuber, most likely.
Not at first, at least.
No,
it takes a lot of time to build up a following.
But even then, the followings that happen are in a very small majority of people.
Yeah, and small increments at a time.
But if you want to someday get into video editing or some sort of producing or something like that, this is a great first kind of milestone to step into. Just creating content on YouTube, just getting familiar with the
feel for it.
With the software and everything.
That's exactly what I'm doing with like DaVinci and stuff. I mean, I downloaded that like a couple days ago, and it's already just like I was using Shotcut before that, which is just like it's good basics, but DaVinci Resolve is just like up there, man. You saw the overlay and stuff. You can see all the crazy stuff I could do.
But that's exactly what you're doing with this right now. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to speak for Jesse here and say I don't think either one of us anticipate a following with this.
No, I think this is for fun.
It's just, like I said, something we figured we could do out of the car.
I want to say, hey man, it's whatever's on the mind.
Exactly.
And bada bing, you know?
Plug.
Yeah, plug in right there.
But, we wanted to do this just to hang out a little bit more and just to have something to do and something to produce.
I'm bored over the summer. I don't know about you.
I'm so bored.
I don't work as much as you do.
Yeah, I do work.
Yeah.
It's something about me. I need to be working 24/7 in order to satisfy myself.
I'm like the opposite. I'm like, I don't need to be working, but I need to be doing something.
Right.
Whether it's like the gym or like gaming.
Yeah,
or content creating. I really love getting into this content creation thing though, because this is the first summer that I've like gotten more serious about it, like we talked about like way back in middle school. I made videos like 6-8 years ago.
Yeah.
And I liked doing it, but it was just kind of like, oh, this is fun. And now I'm thinking of more like, no, I want to make more music videos. I want to keep doing this podcast, and maybe I'll make like gameplay and stuff,
But when you were in middle school and even now as you're doing this, I'm sure you weren't thinking about earning money by doing this.
Not at all.
And like I said, there's a lot of kids out there that think I can become famous on YouTube or Twitch.
I can do this like for money.
And you can't. I mean,
it's not what you should expect to do from it.
No, if it happens, then great, go with it, run with it. If it's something that earns you like $500 a month,
that's like basic. That's almost rent money.
Yeah,
like that alone. Almost rent money
nowadays.
Depending on where you live. That's why I say almost. I mean, maybe double that. But.
We'll talk about capitalism another episode, Jesse.
Oh boy.
But yeah, I mean, kids nowadays have a lot of ambition, and I'm very appreciative of that. I don't think I even had as much ambition as some of these kids did.
No, not really.
Going into
my ambition for like content creation kind of fizzled out in high school and stuff.
Yeah.
And, like, just in general, I was just like other things were on the mind.
When the system got a hold of you,
when the system, gets rid of your curiosity, which is you probably know that's a real thing.
Oh yeah.
That like kids lose their curiosity because they're told no and all this stuff, and they're Like, oh, I'm going to do it this way. It's like, well, you can't do it that way.
Yeah. And
I just did it that way.
There's nothing wrong with exploring and finding new things to do.
Right.
As long as you're kind of realistic about it, I guess. And I guess that's where I kind of fall into your stereotypical adult crushing dreams and stuff like that.
It's like, it's really, just to have a backup plan, really is the simplest version I think I can think of. Like, if you want to go to college and get a major and do that way, that's great, while you're still doing content creation. Stuff like that.
Yeah, I think, any kid should go to college regardless. That's kind of my idea. I think you could earn a decent living not going to college and doing a trade or something like that. For sure. But I've always been a proponent of, education and kind of, I think a 4-year degree allows you to find yourself a little bit more and also understand the world a little bit more than most people do. For sure.
And that's, you have to, you have to utilize that college experience. I know some people in high school, the frat boys, the partiers, whatever. But I mean, they're just there because their parents probably just told them, like, hey, you got to go to college and do something.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas my mom didn't tell me that. My mom was just like, after you're done in high school, I don't care. Like, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And that's really freeing, but also there's no guidelines at that point because you're up to high school. I'm using my hands here as a as a display that you guys can't see, but like high school, you have this structure, and then after that, it's like college, trade school, nothing. Job, like just job that I want to do.
Just kind of throws you out
survive, really.
And that's the unfortunate thing.
Version of it.
I think we're getting on a different topic here, Jesse.
That's fine.
Let's roll with it. Yeah. Let's go. Whatever's on the mind.
Keep going. I love the tagline.
But I think that's a really important thing to note is, there's this kind of notion once you get to a trade school or a college that you're an adult and you need to navigate the world on your own. Right. And whereas, yes, you are an adult. I think you are a young adult and you still have a lot to learn. I mean, I'm going into my senior year. Wow, I'm
senior college.
Senior year in college, and I'm still learning things and discovering myself and thinking differently than I did, 3-4 years ago.
Dude, adding to that, I think differently than I did last year, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Even last semester.
But there's this this notion that you're thrown out there and you need to find out what you have to do on your own. And that's kind of problematic in the sense that someone like you, Jesse, like you're saying, you were just kind of thrown out there and weren't given this guidance. And
right. At least not from like parental figures or anything.
Right, exactly. Right. And even,
I'm sure teachers kind of...
Oh, yeah, teachers try to send you in the right direction and everything, but that being said, you're going through these 4 years of college, you're exploring these topics, you're exploring yourself, you're finding your passions, and if you don't have the tools there in order to pivot or in order to find yourself or anything like that, you have a bigger chance of crumbling and falling than other people do. Yeah. I think, Jesse, you changed your major, right?
I did. I was a computer science student for like 1 year, and then the math was hard, and I changed it. But, so I saw media studies. I was like, well, I like content. It's a very broad major. You can do anything with it, really. You can go into like news, video, whatever. A lot of stuff you can do. We'll do that another episode. Talk about our majors and stuff. That'd be a good one. What was the question?
Just, you
how much
change your major.
Oh, change my major. Yeah, we got it.
But yeah, and I also changed my major going in. I went into college under a psych major. I actually applied to the school I applied to under a biology major.
Right.
Because that was my best grade in high school.
Is that the reason?
Honestly, it was like I'll have a better chance getting in here if I apply under my best class, and I did. But then
you got in too.
Yeah, exactly. But then I pivoted to a psychology major because deep down I thought that's what I wanted to do.
And that's really cool too. I love psychology.
Oh yeah, no,
it's very interesting.
Gonna harp on psychology. It is very interesting, but I took a sociology class my very first semester, and I fell in love with it. I love sociology. I took a course called Contemporary Social Problems, which is right up my alley, coming from a low socioeconomic community.
Right.
So I kind of took that sociology and flew with it, and I really liked it, and I declared a sociology major my sophomore year. Yeah. That's a sophomore from earlier.
Right, yeah. And so you could say you found your passion from that class, right, or that major at least.
Yeah, exactly. But the point I want to make with this is I had institutional structures and individual supports that supported that change.
Right.
I had...
Like, you could afford to change it.
Exactly.
Is that what you mean?
I had professors who were very supportive of that change. I had, the institution itself, liberal arts college,
right.
you can't declare a major until your sophomore year.
Yeah.
So that gave me my freshman year to really decide what I wanted to and everything. Whereas other people go into college, they think they know what they want to do, they start majoring in it.
That's what I did.
And then they decide, they don't decide, they find out the hard way, I don't want to do this, I have to change my major. And now those supports aren't there, and they have to navigate a completely different area, whether it be going to college for an extra year or whether it be, trying to cram in a bunch of classes into a semester.
Right, just to catch up in credits or something.
Yeah, and a lot of those...
Or take summer courses.
Yeah.
I had to do that.
Yeah, but a lot of those students either A, don't have the financial resources to do so, or B, crack under pressure because they have so many other pressures happening.
And that's why you get dropouts and stuff.
Exactly. We come from a community where, I don't know if you would agree with this or not, a lot of the students from high school either A, don't go to college in the first place because they don't have the ability.
I mean, we know a lot of people we graduated with that just didn't go to college.
Yeah, and nothing wrong with that, but they a lot of their decision making in that was they didn't feel as if they had the ability to go. Or B, they go to college for a year, struggle immensely
because they don't really know what they want to do there, maybe why they're there even.
Yeah, and then they drop out, and the dropping out factor. I mean, of course, there's implications from the high school of lack of resources and a lack of preparation. But the other portion of it is were those institutional supports there or individual supports? Were professors there holding their hand, not holding their hands, but guiding them through the process of changing their major or struggling through classes? Were those supports there? Were they not? And half the time they weren't there, and those students fall through the cracks. And the next thing you know, they're struggling to find a job with a semester's worth of credits.
Yeah. Not to mention a job, maybe a place to live. Maybe their parents kicked them out because they're a college dropout now, and and then it's even harder for them.
Then you're struggling to find a place. You're struggling to find a job. You're on. Some students get on the streets, and it's just
awful, man.
It's a terrible thing to think about. But it's
I also want to add. I don't know if you agree with this or not. But the gen eds, the curriculum that freshmen have to go through, I think is just it's too much at first. For first, So you're like, keep talking, Jesse.
I mean, I may go to a pretty prestigious liberal arts college.
And
shameless plug.
Yeah. I'm gonna cut you off because I'm mean like that. But I don't go to a prestigious. I just go to a public college. It's not community. It's just kind of like state public.
Yeah,
college.
It's a state system.
Yeah, right.
But what I was going to say is I go to this prestigious liberal arts college, and it's the same exact way. It's structured differently, so I don't have to do all these general ed credits my first semester.
You didn't have to do that?
No, I didn't have to do it my first semester, but we still have a bunch of credits that we have to fulfill. So, for example, I am a sociology major, but I have to take a math, a science, and a lab.
Because for my school, same thing with that, but you have to take quantitative reasoning. You have to take scientific exploration, stuff like that. And if you're like, I'm a media studies student, why do I need to take quantitative reasoning and go into a stats class or a calc class or something like that?
But then you have these first year students, and I fell into this trap too, even going to a liberal arts college.
Right.
Going in, I didn't fully understand the implications of liberal arts, but going into it, I thought, I need to get all these credits out of the way. I didn't
for the gen eds.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's what I did too.
I took Calculus 2 my first semester in college.
That's rough.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, dude, I hate it. I think I finished that class with a D or C minus or something. Still to
did
this.
that count?
Yeah.
That's
so
cool.
luckily that counted. As long as you don't fail, it counts. But my point is, I went into it thinking I need to get this out of the way, and I had no passion for Calculus 2. Let's be real.
Right.
And I mean, quite frankly, I hated the professor in there and everything. But I'll talk about her another time. But I hated the content. I'm not a math genius. I'm not a math whiz in any way, shape, or form.
I'm like college algebra, anything above that's whatever. I don't even know.
For me, it's like algebra 1 I'm comfortable with, and then algebra 2 I'm like, whoa, we got U-shaped things.
You got letters now. Yeah.
But I wasn't prepared for it, but I took it because I thought, I really need to get these out of the way and I need to do these. And then on the flip side, with Jesse and this type of school system Jesse's in. You
Right.
have to do those things your first year. So if you're going in there,
you don't have to do them the first year necessarily, but it's like
most of the time
you basically can't even do stuff for your major if you don't do a lot of the gen eds.
Exactly.
Like college writing, can't take any of your courses if you don't do college writing.
And it just doesn't make sense because then you have students who aren't very passionate about that.
Right, and then they don't do good.
And they fall through the cracks.
Yeah.
I don't know if I think it might be the system in Germany, the education system in Germany. The way they have it structured is really interesting. I remember I had a foreign exchange student at the high school that I was good friends with. He was from Germany. And don't quote me on this because I might be completely wrong and it may have changed, but I remember him talking to me about the way his schools were structured. And by the time they were in, I think, middle school, our equivalent of middle school,
around that,
they kind of chose an area to specialize in almost.
And that was before high school?
Yeah,
wow,
So they would start exploring that, and if they didn't like it, and that could have very well happened, they can change and pivot.
That's what I wanted from high school. I didn't want to take all these gen ed courses,
And then that continues throughout.
Right,
throughout college.
You can take that into college or a trade school.
And what you have is scientists over there and mathematicians and writers who are very, very skilled in their specific skill set.
They've had more practice with it.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. And I'm not necessarily saying that our public education needs to mimic that or mirror that, because I am a very strong proponent of kind of the Renaissance man, I guess.
The Renaissance man.
Yeah,
I
think it was Da Vinci that coined the term Renaissance man, but basically,
like
it's a man of many trades, a jack of all trades.
Jack of all trades, yeah.
And I think it's very important to be knowledgeable in multiple aspects,
right.
but to a certain degree. As a science major, I don't think you need to fully comprehend sociological theory. I don't think you need to read Max Weber or Karl Marx or anything like that as a science major. Just how I don't feel like me as a sociology major really needs to dive into geological patterns or something like that.
Right. Yeah. As a media studies student, I don't need to go into more statistic or calc or anything.
Exactly.
I need to be going into video production, editing, stuff like that. Cinematography. I've taken I think two cinematography classes now. And they're awesome. I mean, you literally just watch a movie for 2.5 hours and you just kind of critique it.
Right.
And you learn that way, for that at least.
But I just think we could be doing things a lot differently from what we're doing. The problem is we've been so cemented in the ways that we do things, and this is true for a lot of social problems and social inequalities and stuff like that. We're so cemented in the way that we've structured things and the way that we've become accustomed to these inequalities and these issues and these problems that we don't question them very much.
Right. You mean as students in that high school students? You don't
right.
Really
Exactly.
Question it too much. Yeah.
And especially as younger students, I don't think a kindergartner is going to be able to understand. Why am I learning math when I really like writing?
Right.
They won't be able to comprehend that. But I think older you get, and especially for us folks who are coming out of a college system and going into teaching and stuff like that, we really need to recognize that kids have certain passions and certain things they enjoy to do,
right. And we should too.
Strengths. That's a really good way to put it.
There we go.
And we should really support those strengths rather than kind of putting them to the side.
Right. Just kind of put them all into the same group, and it's that's great, but do what everybody else is doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think it was Albert Einstein who said something like, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, you'll be disappointed, or something like that.
Bringing out the quotes in the episode, I like it. You
I
got
like
the Da Vinci,
quotes.
you got the Albert Einstein.
I like quotes, man.
Yeah, I like quotes. Put that on my shirt.
That should be a T-shirt. I like quotes,
I like
and then
quotes.
on the back can be 1,000 quotes. No, that's lame.
No,
Anyways,
no.
So yeah, there's a lot of issues with the current way we operate our education system, very, very obviously, and we can go into super depth with that.
We could, yeah.
Later on.
Probably not for this episode.
No.
Yeah.
I think we're just skimming the surface here, but talking about the college system as a whole and the way that it doesn't support individual growth in a specialized area, that sounded really fancy.
That's coming from the prestigious college
experience.
Exactly.
But colleges that don't allow for that growth and development see a larger dropout rate than others that do. And those that claim to do, don't do a phenomenal job at it.
Right.
I mean, another example I have is
Go for it.
I have to do a physical education credit.
Right.
I'm not even kidding you.
And that was a mouthful just from saying it.
It's ridiculous. I thought I graduated high school 4 years ago, and nope. Still, my
still
college is like, it's really important to take a physical education class, and I get the reasoning behind it. You want to promote healthiness and well-being, but do that in a different way than taking up one of my credit slots.
Right.
You know, I'm sorry, but my time as a sociologist would be much better spent learning about social problems or community engagement than it is doing yoga.
Okay. Is that serious?
You can do yoga.
Are you kidding me?
I mean, they have cool things like yoga and bowling. I mean,
that's
golf.
a cool experience, but not to take up a credit or something.
Exactly. That's my point. Offer that as something you can do on campus. And they already have things like that. So there's this like meditation club they have that promotes.
And it's a club. It's not a club.
Exactly. And they have club sports, and they have they have your collegiate sports and stuff.
Right. So what you're saying is promote more extracurricular stuff and not take that away from the core and let students explore that on their own.
Yeah,
kind of?
Because I would have no problem doing some sort of meditation club or something like that. It's when a college comes to me and says you have to do this,
right,
that it becomes kind of
a chore.
Exactly.
You don't want to do that.
It takes up a slot in my, and it's crazy to me that I can't graduate as a sociologist with how I have so many sociology credits. I have so many credits in general, but the fact that I can't graduate from there without
that yoga class,
it's just kind of ridiculous to
me. It is. I think it's important to have extracurricular stuff. For like at my school, I think they have video at like some sort of radio club, whatever. But I would be interested in doing like fitness club and like like an actual video editing club, or like even a class. But like I would like to have more stuff I can like search out and do. And maybe not have it take up like a credit or something.
Yeah,
that's
and I think
that's not necessary.
I think you would find if you offered these things as clubs and extras and things on the side, people would be more apt to do them. So I mean, I'm not necessarily saying like if there was a math team or something, I would join it.
Right.
But
somebody might though.
Someone might. Someone might say math isn't my passion, but maybe I want to learn a little bit more about this.
And that's what I'm saying about like a fitness club, I'm a skinny guy. Maybe I want to learn about like all this like bulking up, like the calorie diversity, what kind of like how much fat, protein, carbs do I need. I had to do this all just looking up on like YouTube and stuff. I had to do all my own research. There's next to no resources at my school, I feel like, to do that, especially for classes.
I would like to see a college come out and have certain requirements for a major, and then the rest of the credits you need. So say you need like 15 credits for your major, 16. I mean, my school does individual credits, so you probably do like 4 credits per class or something like that.
Something like that. It's like it depends on like how important the class is. It seems it's like one of my math classes was like 4 credits, but now my like media studies are 3, and it's kind of all over.
But my college is like individual credits, so each class counts as 1 credit.
That's so much easier.
I would like to see a school system or a college where I have to get I think 32 credits to graduate. I'd like to see.
Is that all you need?
Yeah.
Dude, I need like 100 and something.
Well, it's like 4 courses per semester through. Yeah.
Right.
But anyways, like some college who comes out and says, okay, you need 10 credits in your field of study, so whether it be sociology or media studies or art or anything, and then the other 22, you can do absolutely whatever you want.
And that's awesome. So they're like electives.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I would say they need to be electives outside of your course area, and maybe you say like, maybe the content area, you need to choose like 3 different content areas or something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
That way you're not doing
field kind of.
Yeah, that way you're not doing like a major in sociology and then like you're taking your other 22 credits in art.
Doing
one thing.
Not really related.
But have a certain amount of like content areas in which people can still explore those areas and become well-rounded, but not kind of tie their hands in what they can explore.
Right.
Because for me, as it is, the credits I'm fulfilling through my major and my minors. I have 2 minors, fun fact.
Okay. I'm minoring in game design still.
Oh, nice.
So media studies, game design.
Yeah, but the way that it's structured right now is my hands are tied in the sense that I can't do many extracurriculars.
Yeah.
Because I need to fill in my credit slots.
Right.
So the predominant, courses I've taken are history, education, and social studies, and those are areas that I'm interested in anyway. So it's not like that's any bad thing.
Yeah.
But let's say I wanted to explore philosophy more. I can't do that. Or political science. I can't do that because I need to do a math course. I need to do a science course. I need to do a science lab. I need to do a physical education course, which is still, it kills me to this day because I am not a high schooler. I am a 21-year-old, a senior in college. I think I can learn how to stay healthy on my own, even though I choose not to.
Choose not to.
But,
should we go on the record and say we're both 21? Just get that out.
Oh, yeah, we are both 21.
Both 21 in college still.
Yeah, but it's just ridiculous how much they tie your hands. And that's at all levels, too. That goes back to high school when...
Like any primary schooling, really. At least in the States.
I just think it would be interesting to develop a new system in which we promote different subjects, but also allow you to focus in on something you really enjoy.
Yeah, I think that'd be pretty good.
No, I guess that's a lot to ask for, though.
Yeah, I mean I feel like that's years of reform and stuff, and also like funding.
Oh, and that's the hard part about it.
Not to mention the whole economical kind of part of that conversation.
Yeah, I mean schools are a system in which we produce, labor. I guess
it's No, it really is an industry. It's not. Our education in America is not for it's not for learning really.
No.
It's for getting you out there and get a career.
Yeah.
Do work, contribute.
Well, either work or provide. How do I want to put this?
Like a service.
It's service, but also it's an economic means really.
Right.
So when you're thinking, for example, I don't know if you ever heard the school to prison pipeline.
I think that sounds familiar.
So
is there a video on that?
Probably.
Okay, probably.
But it's this concept that there are some schools out there, and they're predominantly in people of color communities.
Yeah.
That inherently, in a way, produce individuals that will eventually go into the prison system. So, for example, these schools typically have high rates of poverty and a high percentage of people of color, which those two things go hand in hand.
Right.
But those schools will have more disciplinary actions. They'll have more takeout methods of the classroom. So instead of a disciplinary thing being addressed in the classroom, they'll send them to the office, or a school resource officer will come out and take them out and talk to them. And then that equates to less learning in the classroom, which equates to falling behind or falling into special education classrooms, which then equates to, not having the same capabilities as your peers and feeling inferior to others, which then leads to this kind of high school dropout, which leads to even more poverty and kind of continues that system.
Right, it does.
And then eventually those kids, not all of them, of course, but a lot of them fall into lives of crime and not even just like crimes in the sense of like gang violence or anything, but petty crimes and stuff, drug dealing, like marijuana dealing and stuff like that.
Sure.
And because those things are so criminalized and so racially heavy, I guess.
Like prejudice?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Those students end up in the prison system. And the thing about the prison system is it is so lucrative, and not in a good way.
Yeah, because it's privatized.
Oh, exactly. Our
in the States.
Yeah, our systems are very privatized.
Yeah.
So it's not like you have a state systems in which the state runs it and funds it. There's some that are like that, but the majority are privately owned, and those individuals receive government money from each person they have in prison.
Yeah, so the more people in prison, the more money. I feel like it's gone way off topic.
No, I mean we're still
going.
Yeah,
it's still related.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it all falls back to the way our schools are structured, because our systems are very whitewashed. They don't support diversity. No. They don't support exploring your passions, and those kids that fall through the cracks end up failing. Our system is really a system that produces winners and losers.
Yeah, for sure.
And not in the sense that, winners or losers are good. They're predetermined.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And it's hard because I grew up in a lifestyle that I was, almost determined to be a loser, I guess.
Right.
But people like me are unfortunately the things we're the people that continue this system in the sense that people look at us and say, well, they did it, why can't you?
Right.
And that's problematic in itself because, I had so many different varying factors that went into my success that other students did. I tell everyone all the time, if I didn't fall into the certain areas I fell into, if I had one different teacher, if I had one different day in my life, if I had one different friend,
it'd be all changed.
Oh, yeah, I would not be here. I was extremely lucky, and I want to emphasize that word lucky because it wasn't necessarily just skill. Right. It was a lot of luck, with what teachers I was placed with, what friend groups I fell into. But I was extremely lucky to fall into the sets of social patterns that I did, and that equated to me being a moderately successful person. Yeah. And even then, I'm going to graduate from high school and probably teach. College. I already graduated high school. Fun fact.
That was some years ago.
But I'm gonna graduate from college, and I'm gonna be lower middle class probably to upper middle class. I mean, I'm gonna be somewhere in there, but I'm not gonna be extremely successful in the terms of financial resources. But I'm gonna be perceived as moving up the social ladder, and
especially compared to like where you started.
Exactly.
To where you're going.
And people see that, and it's the whole rags to riches tale. And that's kind of a fallacy. It's not reality. No. Because you look at the percentage of people who do have those rags to riches stories, and I especially hate those that preach those kinds of stories. And say,
like the ones that like just go take the
risk.
Just
work harder. Or, I did it. Why can't you?
I don't like the ones that are like, go like take that risk and do that. And it's like you have to take that calculated risk. Exactly. You got to make sure you have something to fall back on if you take that risk.
But those people kind of perpetuate this system of winners and losers. Yeah. And there's so many things that contribute to it. Like I said, it's the rags to riches tales. It's the school system structure we have. It's the requirements of graduation. All these little things attribute to what is going to be a loser and what is going to be a winner, which is typically, in most cases, 99% of the cases, I would say, predetermined.
Yeah. So it takes in everything. I mean, just financial situation. I don't even know. Racial.
I'm
the system, man.
The system.
It's the system, man.
Fight the system. Yeah. Have you seen any of those memes about Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine?
I have. Like the one that what are they raging against the whatever it is?
It's mostly the ones I've been seeing are about white men who are like, I'm not gonna support you guys anymore because you guys were all anti this and anti that.
Support the liberals, man.
And then Tom Morello is just like, dude, I've always been like this. Yeah. Like, have you not listened to our music?
What machine do you think they're raging against?
My favorite.
I've seen those.
Yeah, it's my favorite. But yeah, I don't know. I think that pretty much sums it up for this episode.
I think it's We went in deep, and you went in deeper. I think.
Whatever's on the mind, man.
Whatever's on the mind, just talk about it.
Like we said, that's what we want this to be. We want it to be very loosely structured and just a general conversation between two college guys.
Yeah.
And you
eventually won't be college guys.
Eventually won't be.
Right. But college graduates, man.
Oh, that's gonna be the life. Hashtag 9 to 5.
9 to 5.
But we just wanted this to be this very loosely structured kind of conversation where we kind of dive off into past. None of this was really scripted, We had
an outline of 2 topics, I think.
Yeah, and even then we didn't talk about both.
We didn't talk about it very much
because we talked
about the streamer thing. We didn't really talk about passions too much. We kind of made a side note of it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it some other time.
Oh yeah. But yeah, you think we're good?
I think we're good.
Okay. Outro time. I can always cut this.
No, leave it in.
Leave it in? Let's leave it in.
Leave in the awkwardness cringe.
Yeah, well, it's part of the podcast. It's kind of like behind the scenes.
Yeah, you'll see us grow throughout the next few years.
Yeah, for sure. So for outro, let's do it. So I'm Jesse.
I'm Travis.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Let us know what's on your mind.